So after a very unpleasant first meeting with Pharaoh in last week's Torah portion, God sends Moses and Aaron, Moshe and Aaron, back to the palace. And he sets up a sign. He tells Moshe to tell Aaron to throw his staff down so that God can turn the staff into a snake. Now, God is not setting up this scene just in order to write a great screenplay for Cecil B. DeMille's classic film, The Ten Commandments, although it is a great scene.
Aaron, cast down my staff before Pharaoh.
Not to be outdone, Pharaoh instructs his henchmen to match Moshe and Aaron's trick, and they do. But then in the climactic moment in the scene, Aaron's staff serpent eats those of the Egyptians.
You see?
As is always the case in the Torah, there's so much more going on here than meets the eye. A friend of mine shared with me the following fascinating explanation. God didn't just randomly choose a snake for this scene. Back in the day, back in ancient Egypt, the snake wasn't just a royal symbol. It was a symbol of God, the snake god, the Egyptian cobra, the uraeus. And the pharaohs were the living embodiment of that god. Their pharaohic headdress consisted of the little snake image above their eyes, the beard meant to represent the underbelly of the cobra, and the headdress representing the cobra's hood. So God was sending a very carefully designed and calibrated message to Pharaoh. Pharaoh, please allow me to introduce myself. I'm God, the one God, the only God, and I'm going to take you on. I'm going to take on your God. I'm going to take you on as God. And you, my friend, are going to learn a lesson that you won't ever forget. And so God makes sure that when Pharaoh's high priests in his religion imitate the little trick, God's high priest, Aaron, ends up carrying the day. Message sent. But what's so fascinating is also the fact that Pharaoh and his high priests did have power. They were able to turn their staffs into snakes. Why did God give these knuckleheads that kind of power? Because he always gives us enough rope to hang ourselves. God leads us in the direction that we want to go. If we are determined to live our lives not seeing him, we won't. We can go through our lives convinced that he doesn't exist, and there will be any number of well-credentialed scientists, somehow with a straight face, telling us that it's perfectly reasonable to believe that there's no intelligent design, that there's no creator, that we all got here due to some accident zillions of years ago. But for those of us who look for God in our lives, we will find him. He's waiting for us to arrive. He doesn't let us prove his existence because that would be too easy. We can get close. We can prove 50, 70, 90% of his existence. Look at the natural wonders. Look at the miracle of childbirth. But that last 10% or more, that gulf, that gap, requires us to make that gutsy walk across the often rickety footbridge of faith. And if we make it, there's a pot of gold waiting for us on the other side.